shoot. I know you love this, Wendy.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Your favorite Wavebot song. I'll shut him up. You can play that.
Thank you, darling.
Let's get us up on video.
Here. You have any music? I have this little background.
No, every now and then
I can't hear you. Wait a second. Wait.
Every now and then my music doesn't want to connect, so whatever.
I'm having a problem hearing you. Stand by.
Well, in the meantime, I guess I'll fill in until she fixes her technical difficulties.
Wait, Bad Bunny, stay up here. We need to do a little sound check here because we didn't do it in the green room.
That's what I was trying to say to Wendy before. We should have like a little warm up.
Should always go to the green room. I was in the green room before.
I tried that. It's not.
I didn't know you were in there, so you could have. If you would have invited me, I would have.
Oh, there was other people. There was like a private meet of the OGs. When I jumped in, there was a bunch of private.
Yeah, I felt like I was intruding, so I was like, "Let me come." You know, when you just like open up the door.
Did you jump in there? Were you in there?
I went in there really quick, and I was like, you know, when you open up the door, and it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here."
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, exactly. So, the other day I was going in there with somebody I was going on with, and Fallon. Oh no, I was going in there to test my iPad because I couldn't get the music to play through it, and Fallon was in there, and I was like, "Oh hey, Fallon, do I need to leave?" And she had somebody named Jay or something in there, and she was like, "No, do what you got to do. I'll wait for you."
Yeah. I went there to test my camera, and Kate was there. Excuse me, guys.
Wait, what happened?
And Steph was there.
To Bad Bunny? Did I kick him off the stage? I didn't think I did.
Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back. I think. Okay, so are you guys? Hold on. So the show has started, and it's pretty hard to edit here on app. So we have to be very conscious of. Thank you for everyone that's joining us, Deanna. Right here on our second night of the the daily DeppHeard AfterBuzz.
I've been calling it the DeppHeard debacle.
I know. So here's something I'm going to share right up front. The whole show is really interactive. It's totally inclusive. Bad Bunny has a whole team that he's working on the clips for Friday night. We're going to do the Crazy Court clips now only on Friday night. Today, unfortunately, I almost vomited. This is what I was telling people in the green room. I had a clip that was so freaking funny today of this one phone call that they had, an argument they had that I actually put music to, and I kind of cut it up, and I made it so perfect to start the show. I was so excited. Okay, so here's the universe is speaking, right? So I take the file and I just cut and paste part of it. It's like 2 minutes of 8 hours of a GarageBand thing because I'm recording and listening at the same time. So then I can just go back and edit the clips within GarageBand and not have to go find them. Okay, perfect, right? It's all working until I created this freaking great thing, got the music off of Artlist, sounded really great. I exported it. And when I think I went on Fireside and I got distracted. And when I went back over, it was asking me, are you sure you want to delete or replace? Are you sure you want to replace this? And I went, yes. And all of my everything, all of my raw audio, everything that I did, I deleted.
Danny was saying, is there an undo button? Because he's done that. And then he hit an undo button for something.
No, because it replaced the project. It replaced the project with an empty project because it had the same name.
This was his other funny. He says, because he hears us talking, because a lot of times you're on speakerphone. And he says,
hi, Danny.
Right. And he says, tell her I blame her teacher. And I said,
well, that's me. That's me.
And I said, "What you mean yourself?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I mean."
Yeah, that's me.
He thought he was being cute.
So,
Well.
but I actually am listening to the universe and I'm saying, okay, there was something because I really almost did vomit. It was a lot of work. It's been really intense. When I create something, I was saying in the green room, I said, when I'm creating something, I'm putting music to it, I'm cutting it up, I'm creating, I'm in a cadence, I'm in a flow. It's not easy for me to just go back and go, okay, well, let me just do that again.
Right.
It's never the same thing. It's never the same thing. And so I struggle with that. So now I'm just saying, okay, our clip show is on Friday. We're focusing on the crazy clips, court clips. Everyone, by the way, is invited. So wait a second. Will you guys share with your followers here? Let me share with everybody that. I didn't do that yet.
I know we probably have a lot of the same followers because.
And then I'm going to actually broadcast to the world, which, I'm already, oh no, this is your show, so it's not broadcasting to my YouTube.
No, I think, I tried to set this up. I keep it, my side says there's an issue with simulcasting, but I do think it's going to Facebook. It's just not going, I tried to hook it up to YouTube and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So
mine goes to my YouTube, but we have to be me as the creator for me to have it live on YouTube.
But I am going to make you the producer, a producer, so that if there's people who want to come up and down off the stage, you can work with that too. But I'll do it. I don't mind. I'm just saying, we both have power now.
Let me see if I can broadcast to my YouTube. No. All right. Sorry, I cursed underneath my breath. Welcome all you newbie audience members. We're so happy. Look, that's what sharing does, right?
Well, so I want to just give a shout out real quick. The second one up here, Reagan, that is my niece. So
hey,
we're going to have her. I'm going to have her on my show. She's she just got her first car, so she's hot snot right now. But I am going to have her on my show one of these days because she's an amazing singer. I'm going to get her on, and I'm going to do it when I can get Deborah Barsha on too. I just think she needs to hear her.
Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
We'll work that out. But anyway,
oh my God, why don't you have your husband sing? Why don't you have your husband sing too? What's up with you? What's up with you people? Get all of you.
Yes, do both of them. The problem is, so I always do this after he goes to bed. He gets up at the butt crack of dawn. And so like we do our time and then he goes to bed and I stay up and do
the butt crack. Did you say the butt crack?
I did.
The butt crack. Okay,
the butt crack of dawn. That crack. All right. So welcome Ron, Reagan, Stacy, Allison, who just did a show with me at the last minute. Thank you so much. Bad Bunny, Victoria, Alex, who is Allison's other half, but not better half. Anyway, so cool. Glad you guys are here. This is the DeppHeard AfterBuzz, and we'll be talking about some of the testimony that we heard today. And we're just going to give you our opinion on it. And we figure our opinion is the only opinion that matters.
That's new. We didn't agree on that. No, I'm joking. And our perspective is unique because I come from a background of escaping domestic violence, literally planning an escape to get out of domestic violence. And Deanna also had her life story of domestic abuse, but in a different way, and now is really the authority. So, you're the coach, you're the trained therapist, you really take a different look at this. I look at this and I just want to make fun of everything, right?
Okay, so I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach.
Oh, that's right. You're a coach.
And so, no medical
advice. But you're trained.
And I was 100% into this girl today. So when we get into that,
this is awesome stuff.
Yeah, she blew me away. And here's something I want to say about these guys. Every person I'm watching who comes up to the stand is not intimidated at all by these lawyers who it's grueling. Give me 1 second. I gotta unplug this. This is okay. Does that eliminate?
You want me to play a little bit of her today as that weirdo that they dressed alike? By the way, Amber Heard and her attorney, they dressed alike today. They did. They dressed alike.
So there is this big theory out there that says that they are
lovers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that might be possible because I think she was with a woman before she was with Depp.
Yeah,
yeah. That might be possible, but they also have a big theory about her planning her outfit strategically. There's a reason, and I didn't get to go look at that, but yeah, there's obviously something behind that.
Oh, when she comes with the Rapunzel braids as opposed to when she comes with it overswept to the side and twisted in the back.
Oh, yeah.
It's sending
Fraulein.
a message.
Yeah. Whatever,
yes, I know she does. She looks like Fraulein. But the psychologist today was fascinating. Fascinating. I don't know how if everybody in the audience, if you give us a thumbs up or whatever. And by the way, this total audience participation in about 15 minutes after we get through purging our stuff. I was thinking of you the entire day while listening to her, because it was like, no shit. Yeah, that sounds like somebody I know, right? And it was so validating for me to listen to this professional go through everything it means, the different diagnoses, the steps that they take, the tests that they do. And so should I play just a little clip of this?
Yeah, play it. Because again, I found this fascinating. And even when she said something, I texted you and I was like, Wendi, you called it. So we're going to get into all of
the Adderall.
Yeah.
I called the Adderall. Yesterday I called it that it was Adderall. Oh yeah, she just has all of that behavior. I'm not too sure where this is and everything, but she's being questioned by Amber Heard's lover. And here we go.
So what you meant to say.
It did not use the words you just said.
Now, let's talk about the treatment records that you said that you reviewed. But I'm going to start with Rocky Pennington. Your testimony was that out of the blue, Amber hit Rocky Pennington, correct?
I can't remember exactly what I said, but I did reference Ms. Pennington's deposition that Ms. Heard struck Ms. Pennington in the face.
In fact, Ms. Pennington testified that she hit Ms. Heard. And in response to that, she can't recall, but Ms. Heard either pushed or slapped her, correct?
I don't recall.
That's a pretty important distinction, don't you think?
My recollection is that there was some sort of violence both ways in the relationship. Either way, it seems that both of them might have been unstable. I'm only evaluating Ms. Heard.
So now we have an evaluation of Rocky Pennington?
No, I just said, but that was not relevant to my opinion because I'm only evaluating Ms. Heard.
But you testified to that on direct that was a factor, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, wouldn't it make a big difference if Amber struck first or just responded back?
Given the dynamic, not necessarily. No, it would not have.
So now you're an expert on Rocky Pennington and her dynamics with Amber Heard.
She's just such a bitch.
Okay.
I know. I said
so
that
now
right
let's
there.
talk about Dr. Cowan.
And then
you not only reviewed his treatment records and his text messages and documents, but you also attended his deposition. Did you not?
Yes.
Okay. And
you have to see the look on her face,
Dr.
right?
Cowan testifying that Amber told him about Depp physically abusing her contemporaneous with the events?
I don't recall specifically his words, but I remember him recalling that she had disclosed abuse in their treatment, yes.
And do you recall Dr. Cowan testifying that he received a text message contemporaneous that Johnny did a number on me tonight. I'm safe in my support tonight, but I need some real help. Do you remember him testifying to that?
I don't remember the testimony, but I do remember seeing that text message as one of the exhibits.
And do you remember Dr. Cowan testifying that on another occasion, Amber sent him a text, Johnny beat me up pretty good last night, end of quote.
Again,
not in this instance. She can rely on it. She testified.
Overruled.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. I didn't need to argue that hard, I guess. Do you recall that?
Again, I don't recall the testimony, but I do remember that being an exhibit. I've seen it.
Do you recall Dr. Cowan testifying that not only did he believe Amber in her...
it's funny because I'm watching it, and so I'm seeing the people in the background, and there's these two people in the background. One is in front of the other one, and they actually will scratch their head exactly at the same time and do the exact same move. They can't see each other. It's so funny. And it's like, that's all I'm seeing is the people in the background making their,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Okay. So that wasn't super exciting, but I'll find some that is, but you go right ahead.
yeah.
What do you think of what she had to say?
So this was funny to me because the attorney acts as though she is the authority in this case, and she is the one who knows what, Rocky Pennington's, she knows, like, she's diagnosing and she's an expert on Rocky Pennington, and the attorney acts like that. And what the psychologist was saying is that you are mistaken in the way that you are talking about
And
this.
then I meet with them regularly.
Sorry, I'm just looking for clips. Keep going.
That's all right. What she's saying is, hey, you know what? I am only worried about what I am an expert on when it comes to Miss Heard. I'm not analyzing.
Right.
It was not my job to analyze Miss Pennington. Okay. I am basing this on the deposition and the fact that Miss Pennington testified that they were out shopping somewhere. Amber didn't like what she said, and so she turned around and smacked her. and that behavior is consistent with the diagnoses that I handed out based on the extensive testing that I did. And look, I love the way she went through all of this because she was so thorough in her testing, and that's on the cross examination.
Here's
and so
here's
they're a
the
little more brutal.
here's the here is it's cool. I put on the closed captions and now I can actually see what they're saying. Here's where she's talking about the testing thing.
Provide my opinions regarding anything
Like what she
that I
does,
noticed that
right?
was consistent or even inconsistent with the psychological science that exists today on intimate partner violence in Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's relationship.
All right, you used a phrase there, intimate partner violence. What are you talking about?
So there are a multitude of different definitions depending on the source or the state. But essentially, intimate partner violence is abuse. It could be physical, psychological, and it's from one partner to another in an intimate relationship.
Okay. Did your role in this case evolve over time?
Yes, it shifted. So I was retained at the end of January 2021, and then had just barely begun to review the documents. The case was postponed, and then in October 2021, I was asked by counsel to provide a psychological evaluation of Ms. Heard.
Okay. Were you ever asked to do a psychological evaluation of Mr. Depp?
No.
Okay.
So interesting.
What types
that
of
she even
documents
agreed.
did you consider in this analysis?
So I reviewed quite a few documents as part of my evaluation. That included all of the case documents, Ms. Heard's medical records by Dr. Kipper, her prior mental health treatment records. I believe I reviewed records from Dr. Amy Banks.
She's got a slew of past
Dr. Bonnie Jacobs, Dr.
issues.
Connell Cohen, and also a significant portion of my review involved notes from Nurse Erin Filati, at the time Erin Borum, who spent a significant time with Ms. Heard in her direct company. I also reviewed exhibits, quite a few audio recordings, a video recording, several video recordings, or possibly photographs. I might be getting them confused. And multiple witness statements, testimony, and declarations.
Did there come a time when you met directly with Ms. Heard?
Yes, I did. So in conducting my evaluation, I met with Ms. Heard on 2 separate dates, December 10th and December 17th, 2021.
Approximately how much time have you spent with Ms. Heard?
So the evaluation, we spent 12 hours directly with one another. However, there were more hours involved in the evaluation with some breaks. So we spent 7 hours together on the first.
So this was interesting, and she kind of breaks down the hours, but this woman is so thorough. Okay. Mm-hmm. She is so thorough that not only does she explain that she spent 12 hours with her, but that she actually had more time that she spent, but she is taking into account that there were breaks and there were lunch times. And so 12 hours was the actual time she spent. It really spanned more than that over the 2 days because of the fact that there were some breaks in between. So, and it's, first of all, I found it interesting that Amber agreed to do this. I mean, I don't know, Miss Heard, should I be calling her Miss Heard? Anyway.
No, you can call her anything you want.
Anyway, so I don't know why she even agreed to do it, like she didn't have to agree, but she did. And they also handed over to this, psychologist all of her records from her previous therapy stuff.
I wondered about that. Was that weird?
All of that, right. I found it a little weird. All of that came into account. But the thing is, okay, so I have a theory behind this, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But all of this pulled together through these very thorough ways in which they test. So the 2 tests that she referred to that she did on her, or assessments that she used, was the MMPI-2, which is an assessment, that narrows down the personality traits. These are personality traits that are not changeable. This is basically part of your genetic code. And then the CAPS-5 test, which is the test that is administered for PTSD. And when you go through the CAPS-5 test, because of the way it's done, it's not open for interpretation, because the way they do it, they don't change the questioning. So you have to repeat these questions 5 times, and you have to give your answers over and over and over again. And it's not.
I've had that done to me. Yeah, see, where it's a mental health thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And so it's not, what do you call it? It's not like an essay test, but it's like an essay test. You're asked the question, but you're not just given a list of symptoms where you can fake it. But on the MMPI-2, there is some room for that. And well, you can do it on the CAPS-5 too, but your answers become more apparent that you are what she called feigning,
right?
Which is faking,
making it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, faking it to make it to like you're giving an answer so that you can affect a diagnosis that you have trauma, and so you're trying to give the right answers.
And those and the feigning also comes from what I found was interesting was thinking that you're because you haven't experienced it, you haven't really viscerally experienced it. All of the questions, she answered them all incorrectly. She answered, she thought if she said yes to all 19 of the first questions or something, she said yes. That she would definitely have PTSD, right? And it was a total opposite.
Right. So, and she said, like, I think it's 21 questions and 19 of them she answered that way, as though, this would totally solidify that
because that's what she saw in the movies, basically.
Right. And her point was that, no, even the worst of case scenarios of people don't have 19 of them in that range. It's not even a thing. Like, that person would be hospitalized clinically, unable, they'd be institutionalized because they wouldn't be able to function.
It was a red flag. Let's just put it this way. It was a red flag that she was that she was feigning.
And so the biggest fun part for me, and I don't know if you can find this, but
I'm looking at.
there was a segment of the cross examination where their argument brought up where the attorneys interviewed her.
Oh yes,
So
that is.
so
Oh,
the-
sorry. That was. Oh, you mean when she had dinner and drinks with Johnny Depp? Oh yeah. Oh my
And I
God.
think
And
people need,
this. Let me find it. You keep talking. I'm going to find
yeah,
it
because
because
I
it's
think people
so.
need to hear it. Yeah, they need to hear it because this is how ludicrous. If you're not following this, I want you guys to appreciate what Wendy and I are doing for you. Because,
This is crazy, and that I lost all my
because
shit.
oh my God, because listening to this all day long, 8 hours a day, while I'm trying to work, by the way,
Me too.
um, is is oh my God, it's ridiculous. But when I hear these arguments that she's making, and this is the thing she's decided to land on and try to make some point about, and I'm trying to figure out like, what's your point? Like, why is it a bad thing? Why is this wrong? And this girl does not miss a beat. Doesn't miss a beat. She just explains it and she defends it and she repeats herself because the attorneys like to ask the same question, make the same statement over and over in like just different ways. Like you tweak it a little bit, somebody objects to it, so you say the exact same thing with a different verb. It's just it's it's insane. I don't know how they're not going crazy with these testimonies, but she handled it, man. She handled it like a champ. Are you finding it?
I then
It's hard.
administered something called the Ministry.
Okay, she's talking about all of the tests that she gave her.
That's
It
the
takes me
NMPI
a
too.
minute.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to explain a little bit about this too,
Please.
because apparently what she determined is like 85% positive that she feigned or faked her emotional place and her emotional responses. Now, here's the thing. I mean, you know, it might seem funny coming from a survivor standpoint of view, a person who
Fine what
has
you're doing.
dealt with intimate partner violence. It might seem funny that we would come from an angle that so far is Team Johnny Depp, right? Is so, you know, like we haven't heard her testimony yet, but so far that's where we are. You know, it's been more likely and more apparent that Johnny actually is a victim. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible that they've
And then
both
I meet
been
with them regularly.
victimized, but but what I am saying is right now she's not looking so good. And all of his markers, all of the things he says, his body language, the things that have been studied, all of it is showing him to be honest and sincere. And the things that he brings up are definite. He words things and he expresses things that if you've been through it, you know, and he's on point. Now, that being said, with her testing, one of the things that it exposed today was she has this two diagnoses. One is borderline personality disorder, and one is histrionic personality disorder. And in the one that is borderline personality disorder, there is a big, huge trigger when you feel like you're being abandoned. So here's the dynamic that was happening between them in their marriage. Johnny is triggered when he's confronted, so he retreats. He tries to remove himself from the situation and give himself some time to process, to calm down, to whatever. And her trigger and the way she responds is when someone retreats, she feels like she's being abandoned and not getting the attention she needs. And so she pursues. So he is flight and she is fight. And so in that dynamic, there's no winning. There's no way for them to kind of come to terms, because every time he would leave in order to remove himself from a volatile situation, it made it worse for her. And that was one of the things that was brought up
Sorry,
too.
I'm having technical difficulties. Here is the cross-examination, and let's see what she's saying, because the closed captions,
and they all refuse to speak.
This is the police.
Did you ask?
The police officer was like tortured today. Hold on.
Hadn't arrived at
Oh, shut up. Okay. Okay, go ahead. I have to go back.
Characteristics.
That was the police
personality
officer.
Perpetrator
So-
of IPV.
That was another thing, again, these people, they are grilled
Now,
for an hour and a
Amber's
half
medical
to 2 hours at a
examination,
time.
she was cooperative, correct?
I'm trying to find the dinner thing. Is it before the Amber's thing? Is it before this?
Her psychological, yes, she was cooperative and polite.
And in the 2 full days of examination, you felt she was polite and answered all your questions, except in one instance where she furrowed her brow when you were asking about friendships in high school, correct?
That's not correct.
All right, let's go to page 275.
Yeah, let's go to page 275, everybody.
Well, the
And we'll
funny
take
thing
20
is they
minutes
go
to
back
find
to
it.
this, right? They go back to the deposition, and then she says, "Yeah, you're right. That's what the deposition says, but it doesn't mean what you're saying it means."
That correlates with intimate partner violence, but there are certainly many people who perpetuate intimate partner violence who do not have substance abuse issues.
All right, let's go to 131.
I can't stand to watch it. I just can't stand it. She's such a loser. One of the clips I had today was the one that I did find, and it was so funny, and I put it into a thing where the defense attorney, I'm telling you, she is in love with Amber Heard. This is my take. She's totally nothing wrong with it, but she's like in this world that she can't believe she's in, this movie star world, right? I can just feel it from her. And she talked about Johnny Depp, and she said the word pussy so many times, right? Because she was like, and it was like I'm telling you, did you hear it, Deanna?
Yeah. So you're talking about this same woman, right?
Yeah, and it was almost like she was getting off on the anger of saying this, like, nasty.
Every time
the way she said it.
Yes. Every time there's something where the F word is repeated or some vulgarity that is a little bit shocking to general society, something that you probably don't hear in courtrooms very often, and she likes to like take that shock factor of it and just repeat it and put it in your face over and over and over.
It was
present.
It was, I think it was the last thing that she did to Keenan Wyatt. She kept asking him, "You mean you didn't see the text where he says," anyway, I'm not even going to repeat it. It's just, but it's the way she says it. It's like she gets off on it. It's so gross almost.
It's weird. It is. It's weird. But
These personality-based IPV.
I'm trying to find it. There's no
I do
captions
love
on
that
this
they're
one.
bringing IPV as an issue worded properly and into the public platform, because most people are like, "What is IPV?" We all know.
Yeah, what is IPV? That's intimate partner violence?
Yes, and we all know the term domestic violence, but it has been broadened into that so that it includes significant others, boyfriends or girlfriends, people who are not in necessarily your traditional domestic relationships. It just is, and then it also pulls in, even though this has always been part of it or has developed or evolved into being part of it, it pulls into the foreground the 4 types, which involve the psychological, emotional, mental, and the physical. And this is something I wanted to ask Fred. Did he come? Because I reminded him. Because, I wanted to ask Fred this question. So, federally speaking, it is
Freddie here?
I don't see him. I don't know if we can get in touch with him on here.
I can try. You talk. I'll try to get Fred.
Okay. So it is I did message him on IG. I don't know if he got the message or reminder. It is my understanding that federally speaking, now states all have their own laws on how they handle this, but federally speaking, there's very different lines in which you can get a criminal charge when it comes to domestic violence, in a criminal case. Like if you're going to charge somebody, if they're going to arrest somebody for this, it has to have some specific physical evidence. It can't just be he called me names. It can't just be idle threats that might not have real meaning behind them. So it's really difficult to get somebody arrested or charged anything criminally. Now we know that's not what this case is about, but it is a foundation of what they're trying to prove because she says it's what happened. But emotional abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, these things are difficult to build a case on unless you have harassment, stalking, somebody threatening you with a weapon where you can prove that there was some legitimate physical endangerment. Otherwise, there needs to be some physical evidence. So like the policeman that was, or policewoman that was testified today, they could ask these questions over and over again. She must have showed her 16 selfies that Amber took, asking her about the red marks on her face. She kept asking the same question, which each
they're
selfie
consistent. They're consistent. Yeah. The police officer, she kept saying, it's consistent with her crying. It's consistent with her crying.
Someone who's been crying. Her eyes are red. Her face is red. She's blotchy. It's consistent with someone who's been crying. And 16 pictures, same question, same answer, over and over and over and over. It's relentless. It's like, and there was like one picture where she said, well, what about the other side of her face? And she says, well, I can't see it. But I mean, that I was there in person. I looked at her. I checked her for any physical injuries, and there were no physical injuries.
Oh, you guys. So did you, Deanna, did you actually listen? This is why I wanted to vomit when I lost all of this stuff I had recorded. Did you listen to also I couldn't bear to do it. It was like they take the Johnny Depp lessons in talking really slow. And the Depp's attorney interviewing the police officer. Did you listen to that? Mm-hmm. That was frickin' torture. It was torture for me. Mm-hmm. Oh, and when you walked up to the door and you turned the knob, what happened in between you stepping one step and then your second step? Did you see any signs of violence? And then again, so let's be clear. When you took that step up to the door, I mean, it was just so obnoxious, right?
It was. Yes, it was.
So this is why it was a real joy to listen to this gal today. Let me see what she's saying here, okay? Because I don't know, and we
did not hear him, as you said, admit to headbutting Ms. Heard.
Okay, that's your characterization of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the videotape of Mr. Depp in the kitchen?
Yes.
Okay. Did Ms. Heard imagine that or create that, or was she responsible for that somehow?
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. What, if any, impact did that have on your opinions watching Mr. Depp in that video?
I'm not sure. It was one of many pieces of the exhibits and other collateral data that I considered. I'm not sure what the direct.
Okay, that's
it can be a characteristic of a lot of things. It is something that can be weaponized if somebody is trying to or is having rage toward their partner.
Let's go to page 270.
Wait, pause it, because so here's the thing, and with this attorney keeps circling around like she's some kind of vulture, is that anything you ask her, she is going to assign it to Amber. Right. Because Amber is the person
that's
she's analyzing.
That's her job.
Right. So, and that's all she's worried about doing, is putting it into the context of her report on Amber. So if you're going to talk about Johnny slamming cabinets in a kitchen and breaking a glass in a cabinet, slamming the refrigerator door and stomping out of the room like a 2-year-old, okay, so what she's saying is, now, yes, I saw that, and Amber could use that as a weapon against him, because she has been feigning in her reports, and she knows that is a way for her to gain the upper hand.
Well, actually, Deanna goes much deeper than that. At the end of the day, it's her DNA. It's a lifelong struggle. The diagnosis really is. It's a lifelong struggle. She can't take a medication. This is where the Adderall came in, right? She can't take like an Effexor or something like this that people take for their imbalance, and then they feel normal.
None of that, right?
Right. This is a lifelong thing that she has to actually work on to change, because they snap, they go into these rages. It's so classic. It's like, I texted you, I said, oh God, I know so many like people I was once married to that were like this. I mean, seriously.
And it is. And she brought that up because what she brought up, she basically said it. She said, this is a problem with genetics. And really what she brought in was epigenetics. What it was in their dynamic that triggered her and turned on this genetic code and kept it flowing was the fact that there are certain behaviors of Johnny that he uses for a protective safe space that actually triggers Amber. And there is pretty much nothing she can do about that, other than work through therapy so that she can become aware of it and start to be able to consciously control it, because genetically and subconsciously it's not in her control. I'm going to take a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just Bad Bunny was just reminding me to welcome people that have joined us. Mary, Dave, Mark, Tony, Allison, Alex, Ron, Reagan. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we had all the new people welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks, Bad Bunny. Keeping our shit together here. Yeah, right? I wore blue for you.
Keeping us on track. I wore my cute mustard shirt, but I'm always chilly back here. This room stays kind of cold. So the and I think this needs to be the message for everybody. Love heals. Love heals. Go ahead.
Here's relationships. It's instability in their emotions. So this is where I think because this is a split screen between Amber Heard, who is like got that nasty little look on her face, like, ooh, oh my God. And anyway, I think this is juicy. So here we go on the psychologist.
In their behavior, and it's instability in their sense of self and their identity. And that instability is really driven by this underlying terror of abandonment. So one of the key features also of this disorder, and all of it is like pistons of an engine kind of firing off and igniting one another. But when somebody is afraid of being abandoned by their partner or by anybody else in their environment, and they have this disorder, they'll make desperate attempts to prevent that from happening. And those desperate attempts could be physical aggression, it could be threatening, it could be harming themselves. But these are behaviors that are usually very extreme and very concerning to the people around them. The anger is typically sadly, it's counteractive, right? So the thing these people fear most is being abandoned, but over time, the anger, the explosive anger that they show when somebody is needing space, or when somebody's really not doing anything wrong, because a lot of times they read into things that they perceive as being a slight to them or being somebody intending to harm them that actually isn't happening. They'll exaggerate it, and they'll explode. They'll react in this heightened manner that is just exhausting for their partners. Oftentimes their partners will try to make them happy at first and really allow themselves to be a punching bag, thinking that they can somehow solve this problem, that somehow they can make this better. And eventually it just overwhelms them. Histrionic personality disorder is very
Before
similar.
we move on to that,
okay.
Are you familiar with the term emotional reactivity?
I am.
What is that?
So emotional reactivity is very common in the diagnosis. So essentially, like I said, there's instability in emotions. People with borderline personality disorder are often misdiagnosed as having bipolar disorder because they can be up and down. They can look very depressed and they can look very elated, but these changes are happening within a matter of hours. Somebody with bipolar disorder, this is a clinical depression lasting days, weeks, a clinical mania where sometimes they even need to be hospitalized because they're so grandiose. They clear out their bank account and go to Vegas and spend it all. They're acting in some very bizarre ways. With borderline personality disorder, you're having these fluctuating moods constantly. And again, this hypersensitivity to being slighted or feeling offended, really driven by the fear that if you're offended or slighted, if the therapist comes in 2 minutes late, or if somebody shows up to dinner 2 minutes late, that they might be abandoning you. And it's not as if the borderline is considering themselves abandoned in that moment, but they just know that they have this overwhelming emotion and there are no attempts to control that emotion. There are no attempts to regulate it. So if they're in the middle of the restaurant and they feel offended, they're going to start the fight. People are going to see it, or they might just start crying or break down, but they'll make a lot of accusations. And that reactivity is when you're going to see a lot of this escalation in the bizarre behavior. They can react violently. They can react aggressively. They will often physically prevent their partner from trying to leave if their partner wants to get space from all of this intense emotion. And oftentimes they will be abusive to their partners in these situations. Sometimes they'll physically restrain them from leaving and become injured that way. But also, people with borderline personality disorder, it seems to be a predictive factor for women who implement violence against their partner. And one of the most common tactics that they'll use is actually physically assaulting and then getting harmed themselves. But mostly, we call this administrative violence. So essentially, this is saying that they'll make threats using the legal system. So they might say that they are going to file a restraining order or claim abuse, or they might do these things to essentially try to keep their partner from leaving. In the moment, again, they're not consciously thinking, I'm going to keep my partner from leaving right now. They're just thinking, I can't stand this. I hate my partner. They went from idealizing to suddenly devaluing because of the hurt, and they'll do anything to express that big emotion of it.
Oh, yeah, so that's a lot that she did there. But one of the things that I really got out of that was, she said, in the way I understood it simply, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or if you understood it the same way, is they will instigate the abuse. They will wind up damaged in the process. And then they will take that damage and report it to the police and use that against the partner, and create or threaten to do that in the efforts of creating a trap that they think they're going to make that person stay by threatening to go to the authorities.
So one of the manipulations that one of my manipulators used is very reminiscent of this. And this is like, on Harper Street, which is right down the street from Sweetser.
Right.
All right. And what he used to do, I'm not going to say who it is, but he was exactly this. So if you showed up late, it was really, like if he sat up on Sunset waiting for you to show up and you're 5 minutes late, he would throw a fit. Why? He would bring the attention to himself. He was so important and you were not. And everybody would be looking at him like, oh, that guy is super important, because look at him throwing a fit and treating that person like this was where he was coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really care about the other people. Now, he did this with a lot of people and it was a power play, but he would snap exactly like that. Just all of a sudden, it was like everybody was wrong. And yet he paid people. It was like, he was their paycheck. And I'm not going to pay you this week, right? And then people would stay because they would want to get paid. I mean, this kind of abuser is not just only domestically in a home. This type of abuser is everywhere. The kind of person she's talking, this disorder.
Right. And so, right, like what you're saying is it doesn't only apply to her intimate relationships with or her romantic partners. It applied to her friendships. It applied to her personal assistant. It applied to all of these people that were inside of her circle. And they read testimony or depositions from her, Dr. Cohen, who was a previous therapist. And they read deposition from him. And it even applied there. He brought this up in this arena. But when the attorney brought up this testimony, basically she tried to use that against this forensic psychologist, because she was like, he says that she didn't have that, and he says, well, actually he testified that he doesn't use diagnosis, but then everything he described was exactly this. I'm using a diagnosis, and he did not. Secondly, he was a treatment therapist. I was forensically analyzing a client. I am not doing this for treatment purposes. In treatment purposes, you have to believe your client. You take them at face value, you take them into your office, you believe them, and you work through it with them. Maybe it reveals itself that is not exactly what is true or what was real, but that reveals itself in the process, and you help them to process through that and heal. That's what you do in treatment. That's not what I'm doing here, but my information actually corroborates exactly the same thing as what Dr. Cohen was saying. So I thought, go ahead. You had
something. Me too. I was like, when I would listen to that, and now when I just listen to it again, it's like it's so written on the wall for me. It's almost like, how can you not see it? I mean, everyone, and I'm sure the testimonies have always been the same in all of the lawsuits, because they do go back to some from last year, but there was really, there's no real true evidence, seriously, that of anything where it came to her being domestically violated, except for with the whiskey bottle, I guess. I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's this lifestyle. They're both celebrities. There's drugs. Obviously, they didn't make any bones about that. She likes mushrooms and Adderall and MD and however you say, ecstasy. And he likes to smoke pot, probably do some lines and, have some tequila.
Was that in the testimony about her birthday today? Who else was that? Who was earlier today before this doctor?
There was the housekeeper from the island.
That's who it was, I think. No, it was somebody. Maybe
what a cushy job she had. 120 grand a year, living on the island, taking care of the house, and just making sure everything's in order when the Depps come to town.
Right. And that was another stupid question. So you make you make $10,000 a month without the expenses. And she was like, what?
Yeah.
She's like, that's my salary.
And she's so jealous. This attorney is so jealous. She makes $35,000 a year. She's an attorney on the outskirts of Virginia, and she happened to get the Depp case or the Heard case. She's or whatever it is.
No, there's no expenses because it's not my house. I'm not buying their food. I'm not buying the cleaning supplies. That's an expense of the house, of the property. They're paying me to manage that. Hello. If you were managing a property, you wouldn't pay for the stuff. That's not what they're paying you for.
That's why I just think it's billable hours for the attorneys. Let's drag it out. I totally, from my perspective, I've seen this behavior in both of the relationships that I had that were very abusive. One was not super physically abusive. He was more emotionally, financially abusive. Right? Super fun person, very charming, all of the things that they talk about, right? That's a true narcissist, by the way, very charming. so charming when you first meet them that you can't believe that actually, they're your friend, and then they really make you, and then they suck you in, and like that's it. But nothing, everything about what the psychologist says and everything points to, how is she going to get out of this? Bad Bunny, why don't you, can Bad Bunny come up? Are you available to come on up and talk?
And while we're getting him up here, so this is something I wanted to come back to this.
Anybody else is allowed up too, by the way.
Yeah, sure. You all invite yourself up. So we are talking on this, and I'm thinking about this, and my thoughts, they just start running, because these people will go through a lot of extremes, and they have the money to go through a lot of extremes, right? They have the money to go through the extremes. Oh, that's what it was. It was Amber was at her birthday. I think it was Johnny's testimony at some point. Amber was at her birthday and she got mad because it was 2 hours late because he was in a financial meeting. But when he let her know, he stayed in contact with her. And then when he was on his way home, she knew he was on his way home. He was like an hour and 40 minutes late. She asked him if he would stop and get more wine and some weed. And then he was like, yeah, that's fine. He stopped. He got the wine. He got the weed. He gets home. And then she's furious the rest of the night because he was 2 hours late, even though she knew that he would be and why he would be, So it's this cycle that no matter what you do, you're not going to do it right. It doesn't matter. I can remember an incident in my life, right, where I was like, okay, maybe I'm the crazy one. I am a little crazy. It's
questionable.
Fine.
We still are trying to determine that, but
all right, okay, the jury's out.
Bazi,
pun intended. But anyway, so she, I'm going, okay, so I'm going to clean the house. Like, it was never clean enough. It was never orderly enough. It was never organized enough, whatever. So I'm going to just do it. Like, okay, I get that you want to come home from work and feel, and just be able to be home. Great. Okay. I understand that that's what you want. And I'm somehow not able to give that to you. So I'm going to do it today. I had some people over. They were doing some repairs in the kitchen, and I'm cleaning, and I'm cleaning everything. I have waxed the floors. I have wiped down the cabinets. There was not a speck of dust anywhere. Like, I literally cleaned the house, baseboards, fans, everything, top to bottom. And there was a bill that I had gotten the day before. It was on the coffee table. And the process of cleaning, I moved the bill from the coffee table to the mantle. And so I had cleaned the mantle, moved it from the coffee table to the mantle, cleaned the coffee table. All the kids' toys are picked up. Everything's clean. Beds are made. Everything. Like, there is nothing out of place except this one piece of paper that I moved and forgot that I put on the mantle. And that is the only thing that was seen. The only thing that was seen. So that there's this big blow up, this big fight. You can't come home and rest. You don't know how to come home and rest. You don't know how to come home to a house that's peaceful because you are not peaceful. So it's not going to happen. And that is this situation. It's just constant volatility, constant chaos, constant criticism, and there's no escaping it. And as much as Johnny tried to escape it, that is exactly how much she chased it, because then she wasn't the center. She wasn't the one in control, and she was
being abandoned.
And she was being abandoned. Yeah. And it's just a cycle. How do you get out of that cycle when you have these two personalities? Like, I feel like you should do these personality tests before you get into a relationship with somebody.
Ouch.
It should be a prerequisite for marriage, right?
Yeah, sure. I think that everybody should have a lot of tests before they get married.
You should know yourself, and you should know your other person should know themselves. That should be a thing.
Well, look, let's face it. I've been married to my husband for 20 something years. He can tell you how long. I really can't. We have a very interesting and unusual situation in marriage. We totally have been, anyway, the long story short is different boats float different floats float different boats. And people will always say, it's like, gosh, you and Marino, you're still together. It's like, yeah, because number one, we trust each other. We don't put handcuffs on each other. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I mean, I'm not talking sexually and all of that. I'm talking, like if I want to go to Europe,
you have autonomy. Yes.
right. I can go because I can go out until 3:00 in the morning. He's not texting me every freaking 5 minutes. I mean, I was in a relationship where I could not look out the window as you drove down the street and you got to a red light. I could not look to the side of me without me getting my face beat because I looked over at somebody in the next car and I thought they were cute, Even
if you didn't, you looked at them, so you must have.
That's right. I didn't go to the grocery store. I wasn't allowed to go to the grocery store. I was bought a bicycle, a really beautiful bicycle, with a seat on the back for when Wyatt was a little baby. I was not allowed to ride it. I was just not allowed to ride it. And I got caught one time riding it through the neighborhood and he bashed in the tires. So then the spokes, so then I couldn't ride it. Right. So it was really, 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 really extreme torture.
Mine wasn't as extensive as all of that, but it was still all the similar things. Like here we are going on a ski vacation with all our friends from high school. Well, all his friends from high school. There were some couples, and then a lot of them were guys because, hello, he was a guy. So it was all his friends from high school. They had a few couples there. And so there was only a couple of girls there and it was all guys. And I mean, the whole time it was just constant the whole time. It was torture. Couldn't tell people hi, couldn't hug people hello. These are people that I've known for 8 years. But because we were in this close proximity, obviously, I wanted them because I said hi or I gave them a hug, which is what I did to everyone.
Yeah. They're so afraid. I actually, a little short story, and then I am going to not make my husband wait too long tonight. You guys, okay, first, no short stories. Sam and Dave, I see you down there. Come on up. Bad Bunny, you got to come up and say something. All right, Reagan, Allison.
Reagan, come up.
Come on up, you guys. I would love to max out the stage at a certain point.
Yeah,
Alex, let's see who's
do that, right?
Well, it only holds so many people. It only holds 4 video and I think 14 or 12 people at a time.
It holds 12 altogether. 4 can be on video.
Right.
I mean,
come on. Hey, let's bomb the stage, you guys. Here we go. This will be fun. All right. You're up, Ron. Welcome.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much, Deanna and Wendi. You guys have done an incredible job with this dissection of stuff. I mean, I am very impressed, and I believe you when you say you work, 8 hours on, just I'm blown away by that. So thank you for that. But
thank you.
And what I wanted to, I'm going to make 2 points, specifically with the borderline personality disorder. I had a friend, he went through a divorce. His ex-wife was borderline, and I'm not here to talk bad about her. I still love her. I never judged her. I have unconditional positive regard, but the fact is that, some people may ask, well, if he saw this volatile behavior or this instability, why would he marry her? Supposedly with borderline, someone can fake being stable for up to a year. So that's just one thing that I've always kept in mind, and I just know a bit about borderline and how how unstable it can be. But also,
that's how they get you, right, Ron? That's how they kind of win you over. That's mine. Wanted to also marry me very quickly, just like she wanted to marry Johnny really quickly. Mine did the same thing to me.
And I wanted to say, I don't know. Go ahead.
Also in that situation, these people are very charismatic. They're flirtatious. And oftentimes there are also actually good looking people because they are a person who is centered enough to take care of their looks. And they know that they need to use that and they want to use that because it's how they get attention. So there's a whole bunch of things in the works that when you push it all together, and look, I know people who have dealt with this personally as well, and when you're dealing with that, you don't know it, and they can cycle, and actually they usually don't have very long relationships. They cycle through relationships every 2 to 4 years.
Wow. And
So,
would you
next point, Ron, you have another point, right?
Yes.
Right?
One more point is the fact that, like you said, the one insight that I liked a lot was you talked about her being the defense lawyer, being so caught up in this celebrity thing. And I'm sure she's right. I mean, she's basically high right now from this. And I know that has a definite, I thought it was just a great insight.
I think she goes home and she masturbates to the fact that this is what she's doing.
Right.
I'm telling you, seriously.
That is a distinct possibility. I'm just saying.
And last thing I want to say is that I think I read, Deanna, that you've experienced trauma in your life, in your past, maybe. Okay, both of you. I just want to say I'm sorry for what you went. I'm sorry you went through what you did go through, and but congratulations on being survivors. And I'm sure you're helping people with what you experienced. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for coming up.
Jumping up, yeah. And
that's
yeah,
awesome.
One of my missions in the world is to let people know, like, you can look at me, you can look at Wendi. This is not her mission, but it is mine. But you can still look at us and go, hey, you know what? Not only did we survive, we are fine. We have found laughter, even when there's stuff like this. We can watch this. I'm going to just say to this
Yeah, wait till you hear the clips we're going to create.
We, as in Wendi. I'm not even trying to learn how to do this. But
and Bad Bunny. His team's working on it too.
Right, you guys. This is not my wheelhouse. I'll stick with the doctor's diagnosis and break that down because I love the science. But the thing that I'm saying is that if we can go through it and we can find laughter after, which is why that's the name of my show, then anybody else can too. And I am not minimizing a person who has this, and this will bring me full circle to my end point. So she has these two diagnoses. Now, why would she agree to go and see this woman and get these analysis? And why we didn't find the clip, but this whole scene in here where the attorney was interviewed at Johnny Depp's house over dinner. So what happened was, in order to determine not the attorney wasn't interviewed. The forensic psychologist was interviewed over dinner at Johnny's house by the attorneys. Okay.
Right.
So why they brought this up as this was some massive thing because Johnny Depp was present at the vetting of this forensic psychologist.
So James, you had dinner with Mr. Depp. Dinner and drinks, did you not?
You had like some kind of mule, right?
At his home.
Whatever.
At his home. He invited you to his home.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Wild love affair. But the thing was that in this case, number one, they're looking for an expert. So they're interviewing her. This is not about, hey, we're looking for a therapist for Johnny to get treatment and so they can heal. We're looking for a way for them to heal. That's not what this was about. We're looking for somebody who is going to work in a forensic way and be able to testify, to be able to create a report to testify. And that being said, we need you to come to the house, or we need to set up an appointment so that the attorneys can meet with you and interview you. And they couldn't get to her building. In other words, she couldn't clear her building in time for them to be able to create this meeting. So they did it at Johnny Depp's house. And yes, he was present, because who's paying the attorneys and who's paying this psychologist? He is. And do you think for 1 second that the attorneys are going to meet with her and not go back and just discuss this with him anyway? Why do that secondhand?
Johnny Depp's not paying. Johnny Depp doesn't pay her. It's the attorney. It's the law firm that's hiring her as the expert.
But he's paying the attorneys. All I'm saying
yes, but the contract is between the law firm and her as a forensic person.
I'm not saying it's direct payment. What I'm saying is they're going to discuss everything with him, because ultimately he's the one who should make or at least be involved and trust their decision. But he needs to know, because when they say, oh, we want to hire this forensic psychologist, he's going to want to know. He's going to want to know the credentials. He's going to want to know why she's the one. How many did they interview? Are we convinced? All of this stuff. But if you just cut out that and you do it all in one place. Anyway, my point is, so what? They met at his house. They were meeting at his house to interview with the attorney. So she had to keep saying that over and over again.
She goes like this. She goes like, but Deanna, she goes like this. She says, it's already established that it was the dinner for the interview with the attorneys, right? I mean, it's been established. And so then the attorney goes like this. She says, are you sure? Or are you talking about the time you had dinner with Mr. Depp, dinner and drinks with Mr. Depp at his home? And the psychologist is like, her glasses just want to fall off her nose and go, oh God.
So yes. And so with that being said, here's a theory that I have. So when you listen to anybody who analyzes this, I mean, almost everybody says there's no winner in this case. I am not going to sit here and act like if Amber Heard has gone through some domestic violence, right, in any way, shape, or form, and Johnny has gone through domestic violence in any way, shape, or form, nobody has left this relationship unscathed, and it doesn't end well. Like nobody's going to probably win this case, and everybody agrees pretty much that this case is about restoring reputation. Making sure people get to see his side of the story and to understand that it wasn't like some violent thing that I just went after her. And the words mutual violence has been thrown around. Okay. And so, okay, fine. So here's a scenario, and I want you guys to just hear me out.
Right. But Deanna, it's a defamation lawsuit. It isn't somebody's guilty or not. It's if she's guilty of defamation. The public will decide if they re-embrace Johnny Depp. So will all the students. As soon as the public embraces Johnny Depp in a very public way, which is what this is creating, right? Mm-hmm. Then the studios and Disney and everybody hopefully will follow suit, because we do want to see him in movies.
Agreed 100%. But the only thing is that to prove defamation, you have to prove the claims she made were false or true. And she is on one side trying to claim that they were true, and he is on the other side trying to claim they were false.
Yes.
And so that is the part that I'm talking about. And what people are saying is neither one. They're going to claim if Johnny says yes, they prove that he did do that, and he loses the case, but he turns around and proves that she did too, then they both lose their case and nothing happens. Right? So that's where people are talking about this mutual thing, but it can restore the trust in him and his reputation to get him back on the track,
that's his main goal.
Is the punitive damage that has been done.
That's his main goal, to do this lawsuit. Yeah.
So here's my theory. Okay, you ready? Because she's been complaining, too. Like, we have testimony or recordings on her phone. We've got recordings from the security guy's phone that Johnny asked him to record. We got all these recordings, right? One of the recordings is like, what about my reputation, Johnny? I mean, I've lost all credibility, right? Okay. What if they pay this forensic psychologist and they go through all of these actions? At the end of it all, their reputations come out the way they need to. But because of it, they've also planned, maybe it's not planned, but I feel like this might come out of it, whether it's planned or not. But I kind of have some, I don't know, little thing in the back of my head where Johnny would be the kind of person that says, I'm going to pay these attorneys big time. They're going to hire the right people. You're going to get the right diagnosis, and we're going to get the help we need.
What?
And we're going to part ways. We're going to get the help we need. We're going to part ways. My reputation.
They're already divorced for 4 years, 5 years. They've already been divorced.
No, I didn't say divorced. I said get the help we need. In other words, now you have a diagnosis. You can proceed to move forward and get the help you need.
Don't they already have that? Don't they have that? She's already diagnosed her.
Yes, but this is the first time she's been diagnosed right here, because the other two or three therapists that they worked with never did actually diagnose her. And in some of those instances, they were doing it as couples therapy and they weren't showing up, or they were leaving, or, you know what I'm, this is the first time.
But this evidence, is, but this is maybe the first time we're hearing about it. But this evidence, I mean, this has happened. She's being cross-examined on a process that has already happened. That's in a report that she gave based on being hired by the attorneys to do the evaluation.
She was hired in February of this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they had dinner. So what I'm saying is, yes, it's already happened, but why can't this be part of maybe it's not a scheme, but why can't this be part of a grander plan that, hey, we're going to play this out on a stage. I'm going to get my reputation back. You're going to get your reputation back because we're both guilty. I don't know that this is true. Okay. I'm just saying. And
I think it's a little far-fetched.
This is my fairy tale ending. You're right. This is my fairy tale ending.
Okay, good.
Right. Okay. Anyway, and at the end of it all, there is foundation that has been laid where you can go and get the help you need, because it's not like somebody who gets diagnosed with a disorder is now lost to the world because you can't do anything about a disorder. No, I mean, they can go get the help. If they want to recognize that this is real and this is true, she's perfectly capable of getting the help she needs. It requires awareness, which is not typical of a narcissist, which is what this falls into, but she is perfectly capable of getting the help she needs.
Yes, and what it falls into why, the intention, their intention. Johnny Depp at any time, and Amber Heard also, they can be very cause related or whatever. They can afford to donate, do things for the better good of humanity. But believe me, they're not putting their dirty laundry and whiskey bottles up the what and airing all of this stuff for everybody to hear. For them to all of a sudden come together in the end in a kumbaya moment where they both say, this is for the greater good of everybody out there suffering. It's like, Jesus, get over that. That's a fairy tale, Diana.
Yeah, no,
that's not going to happen here.
I don't think it's for them to come together. That's definitely not what I'm saying.
No, I mean, come together.
Them to go apart, but move on.
Well, they're already apart and they have moved on. They've been divorced since 2016.
We would not be having this go on if they had moved on. This didn't happen if she wouldn't have written the op-ed. And she wrote the op-ed because she hadn't moved on. That was 2.5 years after.
She hadn't moved on because she has a disorder.
Right.
She can't move on. Right?
Well, eventually she'll move on. I mean, it will.
Yeah, because she'll find somebody else to suck their blood.
Okay.
No, seriously.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. But I'm hoping against hope that, maybe something
it was so perfect what she said. Everybody that I knew, they only had selected friends, right? They kept you from having the same friends that they had because they would be afraid that you would reveal stuff to the friends. And so you were always the bad guy. You were the one that was always maybe, being a bitch. And so, no, she's not coming to the dinner. You were the reason, or I was the reason that they were having the affair that they blatantly had around everybody because I was the one that was being the bitch at home, right? It was just but it's the behavior of this disorder, and it's a disorder that she has, and he got subject to her disorder, and they're going to go off and save the world. Maybe it's an Aqua Woman thing. What character does she play? She'll go off and save the world, with her disorder.
She's an Aquaman, but I don't know what her character is. Is she Aqua Woman?
Anyway.
Reagan probably knows that. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wrap this up. I have to wrap it up. I gotta go. You can keep going, Deanna. It's your show.
No, I'm not. I gotta go to bed. I'm
that's right. It's late there. Sorry, I'm eating an apple. Okay, hold on.
I have a whole little thing of stevia sweetened dark chocolate.
Mark, Tony, Waitbot is still down there. Sam and Dave. Love you guys. You are so funny. Dave, sometimes you are so freaking funny.
Plays
Mary. Reagan.
Right, well, okay, this is your last chance if anybody wanted to get up here, but that's it. You got
Bad Bunny. I'm really disappointed in the fact that you can't come up.
I brought him up here, and he was up here. He talked for 5 seconds, and then he just left.
He's like that.
Us. He abandoned us, and I'm having issues with it. I'm coming after you, Bad Bunny.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the very, very best.
I'm really doing the Friday show now because with you two working together on these clips, I feel like
my
I'm clip
be was so fucking funny today. It was so good.
Be able to just sit back and just enjoy it. And just give my fairy tale 2 cents every now and then. It'll be great.
I love doing that. I love doing that stuff. I do. So everybody has to come to the show on Friday. It's at 7, I believe, and it's only clips. And if anybody's ever listened to my show off app, it's always I have this thing called the 5. There's 160 episodes there. It's the Daily 5. I don't know. Look it up on Apple, iTunes, or whatever, or my YouTube channel. But I just create these 5-minute freaking weird ass, sometimes really beautiful, sometimes funny, 5-minute podcasts. And that's really kind of fun. And I did one, actually, you guys might want to check it out. I think Bad Bunny checked it out and Deanna did. But the last one I did was of the show here on Fireside, The Future of Influence. And I had chopped the shit out of it in the on-app edit tool. And so I exported all the audio and I created a new beautifully produced, kind of narrated. Fred Penny's in it. Ray is in it. A couple of people that aren't new, they were new creators, but I don't know where they went. They're already gone, are in it. But it's really, really kind of fun. I tried to re-upload it onto Fireside. And that's when I realized you can't do that. You can't do that. And so it exists on the 5 with Wendi Cooper. You can go enjoy it. It takes 5 minutes. Stephanie's favorite is the one that's called Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That one was good too.
But so anyway, that's
on it. So I feel a little bit left out, but whatever.
I want to do that with your show, Deanna, that we did on Air Supply.
You doing you doing it in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I just want to do these little 5-minute things of the shows, and then I put them on the 5 as kind of like the Cooper time, which I'm changing over to Cooper time. And there'll be 5 to 6 to 7 minutes of these little vignettes that I do of the extracts that I take from my shows that I do here on Fireside. So watch out, everybody. You might end up in one of my shows. I got to go, guys. I love you. Right. Thank you for being here, Deanna. Thank you for taking the time.
Do I bring
Thanks, everybody in the audience. Ciao.
Bye.